Hello there everybody, Sam Strays here, welcome back to the Railway, and today welcome back to the servicing table for a brand new series of videos that I'm going to be trialling. And these videos are going to be teardown videos, and what they're going to involve is literally me taking apart locomotives in front of you. Now you might think, right, okay, why on earth does he want to do that? Well, first of all, I thought it would just be interesting, first of all. I show the outsides of these locomotives so often, but I very rarely show the insides. So first of all, just for interest, but beyond casual interest, I thought this would have a few uses too. First of all, it will show you guys, and me too, what these are like on the inside in terms of quality and serviceability, because that's something that's very important and it does vary a lot in this hobby. And second of all, if any of you are wondering how the body comes off, for example, how you access the pickups, how you access different parts of the mechanism and whatnot, these videos will hopefully show you that as well. So there's a whole load of good reasons why you might want to do that. And as you can see in the shot here, I'm going to be starting off with the Claude Hamilton D16 locomotive from Hornby. This is one of my personal favourites, so I'm really interested to see what this is like on the inside. So first of all, I'm going to pop this into a cradle so I can flip it over onto its back. I'm going to start by having a look at the pickups and the axles and things on the loco. So let's just turn this upside down, and I'm going to start by just removing the base plate of the loco. So I'm going to move this so you can see it, and I'm going to take the screwdriver and let's have a look inside. So I'm going to start by just undoing these three screws. I reckon it'll be these three. And all being well, this will give us access to the pickups and the axles, and we'll take a look at the bearings as well. So here we go, just three screws I believe, and if it's not loose after I've undone all three, then there might be a fourth somewhere hiding, but I think it's going to be just these three, but let's find out. Okay, yes, it looks pretty loose to me, so that's good. Right, let me grab this. Yep, it's coming out. Okay, so this particular arrangement is my absolute favourite, because as you can see, this piece, which has the pickups fitted onto it, has come free. It's completely loose, it's not wired on, and basically the way this works is if you look underneath, you can probably see it best on this camera, you can see that there are two contacts here which marry up to contacts on the locomotive. Now this is a fantastic system. I think that is a really good way to do it, because sometimes that isn't the case. Sometimes these are wired on, so when they're loose you can only sort of get them to here, and it really makes accessing the bearings and things really difficult. So if you have got fluff or anything on them, it's really difficult to get rid of it. But here you can take the whole assembly off and clean it and defluff it, de-oil it, whatever, and you can get full access to the gears and to the bearings and things. So really good top points for that. That's something that Hornby do quite a lot recently, and I'm a big fan of that. Okay, let's take a look then. And as you can see, we have got proper turned brass bearings on here. As you can see, there's two just here and two at the back there, and that is a real sign of quality. And some locos have that, some don't. Most notably, most of the Bachmann locos don't tend to have that, which is interesting. But yes, yeah. That's all I've got to say, I think, on that. And it's just one pickup per wheel, as you can see there, so that's fair enough. I don't think there's any more to see under there, so I'm going to stick this assembly back on. But yeah, I really like that design, and Hornby seem to be doing that more and more recently. So yeah, good marks for that. Right, I've got to get this on properly. I think these sanding pipe thingies are in the way very slightly. There we go, that's better. And yes, I realise that some people might not like that arrangement of pickup, by the way, because obviously it's not a hardwired connection, and I suppose there is the potential there for a bad connection to develop, but generally I would say that it's not going to be an issue, and it's certainly never been an issue for me, because it's completely stationary. Those two contacts never are going to be moving, whereas the pickups on the wheels, for example, are constantly being worn away and constantly being used. But inside there, they're just pressed together when you screw these screws in, and then they're not touched. So really, I don't think it's much of a problem. Okay, so let's take a look. As you can see, if we look at the front bogie wheels, it's quite clear to see that there are no pickups attached to those, which is fair enough, I suppose. Not a big deal. And what I'm going to do now is see if I can find out how we get the body off. So I'm going to have a look underneath the front bogie first of all, just to see if there is anything of interest back there. Don't want to lose that screw. Put that to one side. There we go. And yes, I reckon that must be the body screw under there. Let me see if I can show you that. Can you see it? In this little box there, I reckon that will be the body screw. So yeah, I'll undo that in just a second. But first of all, I'm going to disconnect the loco from the tender. Oops. undo that. And then shall I unplug the loco from the tender? Yeah, I think I will do that. Just make things a little bit easier. I need a better screwdriver for this. There we go, that's come out. Generally, it's not a good idea to grab the wires and pull these out. And really, I don't know how long connectors like this will last doing that. But, you know, I think this one's okay. But certainly I don't like these connectors. But I suppose it's better than nothing. But I suppose if one day, if they do give up the ghost, you will need to hardwire into the tender. Which is, you know, not ideal, but it is what it is. Okay, so let's see if we can't get this body off and take a look at what's inside. There we go. Careful not to lose that screw. And let's just give this a wiggle then and see if it's coming loose. And as you can see, if I do that again, yeah, you can see that the body is loose there. So let's take a look. Let me see if I can just ease this out. I don't think there are any other screws, or are there? Actually, there is another screw. So let me just take the tender out of the equation. Yes, it didn't feel as though it was completely loose. And looking at this, you can see that there is, if I get this in shot, you can see that there is another screw just back there. So I'm going to undo that. And presumably that will be enough to release the body. It's quite an awkward position to be unscrewing, actually. Right, let's get this screw all the way out. I have to remember which one that was. Although they do look like they're the same screws. Okay, let's try that again. Hopefully that will now get us out. Yeah, that's loose. Okay. Alright folks, I'm going to come back to this in just 1 minute's time, but this video is sponsored by Yobox again, so here's a little bit of a message from them. So this is the Yobox range of high quality security cases which offer superior protection against dust, moisture and shock. Pick and pluck foam inserts mean that you can tailor these cases to hold whatever you like for effective protection and transportation. These Yoboxes are absolutely perfect for our precious railway models, but they're also perfect for other valuables such as cameras and other sensitive equipment. There's a vast range of colours and sizes available too, so visit YoPortal's website for more information, and there's a link for that in the description. So, last time I prepared a dummy locomotive to take part in a drop test from one of my upstairs windows, and here's what happened when I dropped it. So, quite amazingly, the damage to the case seems to be extremely minimal, but the important question is, did the dummy loco survive with all of its fake detail intact? I'm going to reveal this next time, so stay tuned for more, and let's get on with the video. So let's take a look at the body first. So it's noticeably very heavy, and if I put my finger in there I can feel that that is die cast. So that is really good quality from Hornby. It's not just plastic. And it weighs a lot. The body itself weighs a lot. So that is clearly a die-cast body, as I think I thought it was in the review. But looking at the inside, it's obviously not a plastic texture, is it? So yeah, that is superb. And not to mention the weight of the loco chassis too. This stuff here, this whole assembly here, is all die-cast as well. That feels very, very heavy. And you've also got part of the lower boiler here, as you can see, which is part of the chassis, not the body. That wasn't immediately obvious before. And okay, let's take a look then at the motor here. It's hard to tell really whether it's a 5-pole or a 3-pole. I can't tell, to be honest. But really it doesn't matter because it runs super nicely, as you've seen in some of my videos. Let me put that to one side. And as you can see, yes, you have the brushes attached at this end and not this end, which is good. Sometimes on a motor you have the brushes attached on the same end as the worm, which means that when you oil the worm, there's a risk that the oil will get inside the motor and foul up the brushes and such. But on this one, the brushes are presumably on this end, away from the worm where you'll be putting your oil. So there's no real danger of wrecking the quality motor in there. So that's a good sign. I don't think I'll take the motor any further out then, but I will just show you that yes, you have got access to the rear motor bearing there. It isn't just sealed in as it is on some cheaper motors. So the temptation is to oil it obviously, but I would oil them, but only very, very, very lightly, because if you do get too much oil on this, especially the brush end of these motors, it's going to be a real problem for you. Alright, let's test the magnets. Yeah, relatively strong magnet in there. I don't suppose that's critical, to be honest, because the armature is going to be touching the magnet virtually, isn't it? So that's not a big deal. But yeah, very, very impressed with that. It seems quality, and to be honest, I'm fairly sure that it is quality. There's no sign of Mazak rot or anything like that. So yeah, really, really good marks on that. So I'm just going to put this thing back together. There wasn't really much advantage to taking this worm cover off, was there? But it's nice to see the worm. And obviously that, you know, they've got the gear train which goes through to this axle, I believe it'll be. Yeah, it's the front axle, so it goes straight down to the front axle. Very nice that, really, really nice mechanism on that. Okay, let's put this thing back together, and once I've done that, I'll have a quick look at the inside of the tender. Take a look at those tender pickups, assuming there are some. I think there will be. Sometimes with the Bachmann models, you do have wires going to the tender, but that's only because the decoder socket's inside there. There isn't always tender pickups, so it's always worth double checking. Because obviously I think it's a little bit naughty when a loco doesn't have proper tender pickups, but it is what it is. Most of them run okay. Okay, let's not forget this screw at the back. It's quite interesting this, because normally a loco chassis will have a lug at the back and a screw at the front, and you'll have to sort of lug it into the body and then sort of lever it forwards. But not so with this one. This one, once you've undone both of the screws, it's completely free to lift out, which is actually a really nice way of doing it. Because you've not got to fiddle trying to get the body in position. So I like that. I think that's generally really good. Okay, get the front bogie back on, and I should also say that you've got this sort of square piece. You can see on this camera, it's clearly very square, and it fits into a square sort of, yeah, a square space on the chassis too, which means that once it's in, it's not free to turn and get out of shape. Once it's screwed in, it's absolutely solid and not able to turn. So that is also really good. Just a really, really smart design on this one. Everything about it has been well thought out and is really smart. So let me show you. So even though that isn't screwed in fully, you can see that it's really quite rigid. And if I go ahead and screw it in the rest of the way, it really is solid as a rock. And I think the front bogie has also got some, yeah, it's got some play, as you can see, left and right, which means that it will handle curves nicely, and then of course it's got the rotation as well. But it's not flimsy. Sometimes when you've got all that movement, it will, when you turn it upside down, the bogey's all over the place, but this one's not. This one's still got that limited but fairly broad range of movement, which is really nice. So yeah, clever front bogie design. I don't suppose the front bogie normally gets much thought, but this one is particularly smart. Okay, let's have a quick look inside the tender, see how this is done. Let me grab another sleeve. Oh, there we go, that's a good size. Let's have a little look. Now normally there's a screw underneath the the coupling, so I'll probably just pull the coupling out, have a little look. This is how I remove couplings. I don't suppose there's a right or wrong way of doing it, but I certainly don't like to just grab them and push them. Oh, no point, there isn't a screw underneath there. Normally there is, but no, not this time. Okay, let's take these out then, take these screws out and have a look. Just going to make sure this is actually seated properly in this sleeve, because I don't want to ruin any of the detail on it. Okay. And I can see that there are pickups on these tender wheels, as you'd expect from such a quality model. But it's nice to be sure, isn't it? And we'll have a quick look at the arrangement of this. So that's the 3 screws, which again is a very neat and tidy number. You haven't got 10 screws to undo or anything ridiculous like that. And the screws are placed really quite near the axles, which is good, it'll keep them in. There we go, carefully lift that out. And as you can see, once again, this is really, really serviceable. Once you've taken that base plate off, you can get to the wheels, you can just take them out, really, like that. And then you've got full access to cleaning the pickups. Not all Hornby locos and not all Bachmann locos are as simple as that, but as you can see, you've got 2 pickups going to each axle, 1 per wheel. Really, really nice. And this one is hardwired in, by the way. You don't have the pickups coming out with the base plate, but that's fair enough because really there's no bearings or anything to worry about. In terms of bearings, obviously there's no turned brass ones or anything, but they are circular. I don't know if you can see this. Can you see it? They are circular, they're not just square slots, which means that hopefully the wear won't be too bad, but it's not a very heavy tender, it's quite a plasticky light one, unfortunately. but that does mean that the axles, all three of them, are not going to be too hard pressed to keep this upright, and I don't think there's going to be much wear and tear there. So I'm just going to pop these wheels back in, making sure that I don't push the pickups to the outside of the wheels. But it's quite a nice design. And so, in general then, very, very serviceable, extremely serviceable. Full access, full easy access I should say, because most locos give you access, but not always easy access. But this one gives you full easy access to every axle on the model, every pickup on the model, and you also get full access to the worm drive and most of the gears. Some of the intermediate gears are a little bit harder to access, but normally, because it's so well sealed in, you're not going to get dust and dirt on those. And if you just oil the gears that you do have access to, most likely the oil will be passed on to those anyway. So yeah, it's not an issue. Okay, let's put this thing back together. Just plug the loco and tender back together, screw the two back into each other. Just get these in the right position. There we go, very nice. So very, very impressive. As I say, during this series I'm going to be looking at the good, the bad and the ugly. This was the very good, but there are some ugly ones out there. So if you've got any ideas which ones you'd like to see, do let me know. But I thought I'd start with a good one. And this really, it doesn't really get better than this. I mean, this just, it's genius design, to be honest. Very reassuring. And the B12, by the way, is just as good. I seem to remember having that one apart as well and being equally impressed. So very, very impressive, the D16, in my opinion. Obviously it's just an opinion, but I'm mightily impressed by that. Very, very good. So hopefully you enjoyed that. As you could see, everything was completely accessible, and it really, really, really is a good quality mechanism inside there, and it's always run really nicely too. So thank you very much for watching. If you did enjoy that, please let me know and I will do more, but that is my teardown of the Claude Hamilton D16 number 8900. What a nice piece of kit.